Okay, class, this is Pre-Algebra lesson 10.7, and today we're going to talk about combinations. So this lesson goes along with what we learned a couple days ago when we looked at permutations. So permutations today, combinations. And so you need to keep the two separate, and you have to have an idea which is which. What is a combination? Combinations are also groups. So a combination is a group of objects or groups of objects, but the difference here is in no particular order. In other words, the order doesn't matter, just the objects in the group. If two groups have the exact same objects, it's the same group. All right? In a permutation, the order mattered. That's why our illustration of a permutation, if you took the numbers 1, 2, and 3 in three number groups, a permutation can be 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, etc. There's 6 different permutations. You don't need to write this, by the way. But with a combination, if you took 3 numbers in 3 number groups, there's only one group you can make. Whether it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 2, 1, 3, doesn't matter. There's only one group using those 3 items. That's the difference in a combination. So a combination is the order does not matter. It's just the members of the group. That means that combinations will have less solutions than a permutation. There will be less. Okay, formula. It's there in your notes. So this is going to look similar. Look, notice the part right now. The part I have there for you already. And again, you don't need to do this. This is the permutation formula, isn't it? Right? That's the permutation formula. One little addition gives you the combination formula. So I'm going to take my green here. If it'll give it to me, I'm going to take my green, and down here I'm going to add r factorial again. So notice again, this is the permutation formula. What makes it a combination is to divide one more time by r factorial. Okay? And I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. By the way, you should have your calculator out. If you don't have it out right now, I'd pause the video and go ahead and get your calculator out. You're going to need it. You're going to need to figure out how to use your calculator buttons. Okay? All right, so that's the formula we got to use. Let's go ahead and do this first example. How many combinations are there for 8 objects in 4 object groups? So, by the way, let's go back to A for just one moment. Don't forget, N is the total objects available. Total objects available. I'm going to do avail. Right? In this case is the 8, right? And what is the R? The R is the, let me get my green here, the number of objects in the group. Number of objects in the group. And in our case here, it's 4. Hence, you can see the capital C for combination. Subscript on the left, the total objects available, 8. And subscript on the right, 4 object groups. Okay. So every time you write, I want you to show the formula. All right, so I'm going to use a little color. So the top is 8 factorial divided by 8 minus, go to my green, 4 factorial. That's the permutation formula, and the only difference is times again n on the bottom, n factorial on the bottom, 4 factorial. Not n, I'm sorry, r factorial on the bottom, so 4 factorial. Okay, let's simplify this. Let's simplify this. Now pay attention here because there's a couple important aspects. All right, the top stays 8 factorial. The bottom parentheses is a 4 factorial times another 4 factorial. Okay, you get a 4 factorial times another. Okay, so we get 8 factorial over 4 factorial times 4 factorial. Do not do this in your notes, but let me tell you something you need to be careful of. You cannot multiply 4 factorial times 4 factorial and get 16 factorial. That is not true. That is not true. 4 factorial times 4 factorial is not 16 factorial. You cannot do that. Do not do that. So how would you do this on your calculator? Here's how you would do it. You would do the numerator, 8 factorial. You would hit your divide by button. You would then do your 4 factorial. You have to, again, notice the second 4 divides into the 8 factorial. So you have to use your divide button again, not your multiply button. And then 4 factorial. That's the way I like to do them. You can do it one other way. So the other way would be 8 factorial divided by parentheses. You have to provide the parentheses. 4 factorial times 4 factorial, close the parentheses. Okay? Either way will get you there, but you have to know how to punch your calculator. All right, so work that and see if you get the right answer. Pause if you want to take a second, but you should have ended up with 70. 70 is the solution to that combination. So how many different groups can you make with 8 objects and 4 object groups? You can have 70 different groups. Again, the order does not matter, just the members of the group. You can have 70 different groups. That's what we're talking about. Let's do the next example. Okay, so here we have a combination 15, 7. We have 15 objects in 7 object groups. Again, if you want to, pause the video. But remember, the first thing I want is your formula. 15 factorial divided by 15 minus 7 factorial times 7 factorial. All right, as long as I see the formula, that's good. Again, what would this be? Simplified 15 factorial over 8 factorial times 7 factorial. How do I punch this in my calculator? 15 factorial divided by 8 factorial divided by 7 factorial. Solution, 6,435 different groups. 6,435 different groups. Combinations. All right, I'm going to throw one more in. A little bonus. D here. Combination 50 and 6. 50 and 6. Okay. So formula. Sorry, it's a 50. 50 factorial divided by 50 minus 6 factorial times 6 factorial. Right? 50 factorial divided by quantity, 50 minus 6 factorial times 6 factorial. What's our top? Still 50 factorial. What's our bottom? 44 factorial times 6 factorial. So that's what we're punching in if we're punching it straight in using the factorial. Okay, so 50 factorial divided by 44 factorial divided by 6 factorial equals, okay, and here's the answer, 15,890,700 combinations. Now, by the way, I always like to do this example. When I used to teach in Ohio, I would always do it because this is the example of the Ohio Pick 6 lottery. The Ohio Pick 6. And I just want you to understand that to play the lottery, the probability of winning is extremely low. In this, there are 50 different numbers, and you have to pick the correct 6 numbers. It does not matter the order. So therefore, there are 15,890,700 different ways or groups you can have. So you'd have to, your chance is if you buy one ticket, 1 in 15 million. That's not good. By the way, you have better chance of getting hit by lightning. Do you think you're going to get hit by lightning in your lifetime? Probably not. And there's a lot of other probabilities. So just one thought there, you know, save your money besides all the other implications involved. All right. Anyhow, let's go on. Number 2. Most calculators will have a combination button. All right. Hopefully you found your permutation button, right? Tuesday in class. Look in the same location for the combination button. You will punch it in the same way. Now again, what I want you to do is always write the formula first for me. Just helps you to remember it. I'm just trying to get you to remember it. All right? And then go ahead and just punch it in your calculator. So remember how to punch it? All right, remember you do the first number first, 20 put that in your computer, into your calculator, then hit your combination button, then punch in the 4, and then hit enter usually, and it should give you the solution. And you have 20 objects in 4 object groups. There are 4,845 different combinations. 4,845. All right. B, again, pause the video if you want to do it on your own. What would the work be? 31 factorial divided by 31 minus 10 factorial times 10 factorial. If you're using your button, again, you're going to punch in 31, hit your combination button, punch in 10, hit your enter button, and this one has 44 million. I'm going to put it below here. 44,352,165 combinations. Now, when we show you that it's a combination or we show you that it's a permutation, those are pretty simplistic problems. What you have to be careful of is word problems where you have to decide, is it a permutation or is it a combination? So be careful there. You know, we're doing a section of combinations. They might all be combinations, but you have to be careful. If the order matters, it's a permutation. If the order does not matter, it's a combination. You must keep those two straight. That's the key, right? Combinations, no particular order. And you always get less combinations, possibilities for a combination than a permutation. Okay, one more thought, alternate method. So I just want you to make aware of how things work out, alternate method. All right, there's our regular combination formula right up there at top. And we know how that goes. So this alternate method is solving without a calculator. I use that term without loosely because you still have some multiplication to do. Okay, so try to follow what I did here. I'm going to do some marking. You don't need to mark your notes. You can if you want, but here's the formula, right? That's the combination formula, correct? That's all that is, combination formula. Okay, the top 9 factorial is right there. And then what is 9 factorial? Well, I did 9 times 8 times 7 times 6. Now, why did I write the last thing as 5 factorial? The reason I did was because of this 5 factorial on the bottom. That's why I stopped at 5 and wrote 5 factorial. Because we've already learned that when you have the same thing on the top and bottom of a fraction and they're all being multiplied, you can divide them out. 5 factorial divided by 5 factorial is 1. So that's gone, right? And again, I'm looking here, this 5 factorial, right? So now it's gone. What was left? The first parentheses, right? Look back here. Let me get my black. Look back here. 9 minus 5 factorial is the 4 factorial. So I simply wrote out what 4 factorial is. 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Now I can use this to reduce what's left. All right? What's 8 divided by 4? It's 2. 2 times 3 is 6. What's 6 divided by 6? It's 1. Notice the bottoms are all gone. What do you have left on the top? 9 times 2 times 7. Final answer, 126. All right, I know that's a little tricky, so we're going to do one more, okay? So if you didn't get it that time, again, you can rewind and go back, but let me show you one more example of using this alternate method. Okay, so how to use the alternate method? Start with the formula. So what's the top? 12 factorial. What's the bottom? Parentheses. 12 minus 8 factorial. Remember, that's the permutation part. And then times the r again factorial on the bottom to finish the combination. Okay. Just to simplify, that's 12 factorial. What is our parentheses? A 4 factorial times the 8 factorial. Are you okay with that? So again, just to be clear, 12 minus 8 factorial is that 4 factorial and then times the 8 factorial, right? Okay, so now I'm going to start to do the top. Get my black here. So I'm at the top. I know I have a 12 factorial. And I'm going to use red here to make this make sense. I'm also looking at my bottom and seeing my 8 factorial. So when I get to 8, I want to write factorial. So I'm going to start at 12, right, because I'm doing the top. I'm going to do 12 times 11 times 10 times 9. But when I get to the 8, what's on the bottom, I'm going to write 8 factorial. Okay? What's the bottom? Take the front factorial, write it out. 4 factorial times 3. I'm sorry, 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And then don't forget, times the 8 factorial. All right, now we can start reducing. 8 factorial divided by 8 factorial is 1. There's a couple different ways you can do this one. Okay, I see a 12 here with this 12. Let's get rid of those. And what's left? I got a 2 here. I can do with my 10, and that's a 5. So I end up with 11 times 5 times 9. Answer 495. An alternate method to combinations. All right, it's today's lesson. And again, if you're home for a snow day, the homework is on InfoDirect, but here it is for you as well. Page 430, number 1, number 2, 5 through 8, 11, 12. Before I continue on, don't forget, check the odds on your answer sheet at the back of your notes. Make sure you're checking correcting odds, learn from your odds, and don't forget you need to write the original problem. Write the original problem, write the original problem. All right, 11, 12, 17 through 20, 23, 24, 31, 32, 39, and 40. So if you are home for a snow day, then you should watch this today and do the homework today. And this homework is due Friday, tomorrow. Or I'm sorry, Friday, depending on when you're watching this, okay? So again, if you're home for a snow day, watch the video and then do the homework on page 430. Now, let me again just remind you, when you get to the word problems, be careful because there may be a few permutations in there. I can't remember. I haven't looked at the homework section for a year. So there might, I can't remember, but if there are, be careful. You got to figure out, hey, are they asking for something in a specific order? That's permutation. If not, combination. All right, there you go. And hopefully I'll see you Thursday, if not on Friday.